Hello, friends, and welcome to the stream. Can everyone hear me? Am I coming out of the right microphone this time? Hey. How we doing? Good? People in the chat, let me know. Hey. How we doing? Awesome. Well, welcome along, everybody. I can see you chat. Nice. It's good to have you all here. I have both the windows in my bedroom open because it is absurdly hot in London for a northerner. So if there's a bit of background noise from the streets, then sorry, you're just gonna have to roll with it. I've got this big fan, it's like a big electric fan in my bed. So, hey, thank you to Jason Walter, first super chat of the night. Thank you for also illustrating that it's the super chats for this backup channel are now enabled. You can now super chat me if you so wish. I will do my best to shout out any that I see. I apologize if I miss them, but let me say thank you. Welcome along. Extra special welcome if it's your first time on a stream. We like to keep things cool, we like to keep things chill and relaxed. Unfortunately not literally because I don't have air conditioning because it doesn't exist in this country. But yeah, we also like to start off by lighting a candle. Just to make it even more warm in here. Thank you, Dangler, for that super chat. I see you. I'm gonna regret it. I already regret it. It's so warm. How hot is it? Let me check. Not very hot by normal person standards, but by Ollie standards, absolutely punishing. Anything over 12 degrees C is just impossible for me. God, Christ alive. It's 20 degrees today. Punishing. I can't deal with it. I've been drinking like ice water. Just to try and stay cool. This is the first time all day I've worn sleeves, like, which I know you'll be upset about. So yeah, welcome along. What we like to do in these streams is I like to go through the last video that I did. Thanks, Samar, for that super chat. What I like to do is go through the last video that I did and talk about like what my notes to self are, because usually I've got some things that I would have liked to do differently, and talk about what some of the feedback was as well. So the last episode was sex work. The last episode I did was all about sex work and decriminalization. I'm pretty pleased with it. I actually think it's my my best work. My best work yet. It's the one that I'm kind of most proud of. I tried something a little bit different in terms of like the format, in terms of like splicing an interview in with it. It was very sort of Lindsay Ellis inspired. I was chatting to somebody who said it was like a little bit Louis Theroux. It was nice to have nice to try something a little different. It was I watched a bunch of like Lindsay's videos and I was like, But she does this like really cool thing where she splices interviews in, and Lindsay uses two locations very effectively. She like has an intellectual space and like a more kind of emotional like, sort of talky space. I was like, ooh, that's quite good. I quite like that. Let's see if I can do something like that. So I had this sort of I had the studio, the white background for the thinky space, and I had the theatre for the like slightly more out there spaces. So yeah, that's where that came from. Yeah, that was really cool. I'm really happy with it. I think it was my best work. There are a few things that the one and only Michael McCormick says, how many pieces of fan art have arisen of me dressed as a magician? None that I've seen. Although it's only been out less than a week. We're doing this post-mortem stream a little early because I'm rehearsing this weekend, so I don't have time to do it this weekend. Normally I do it like a week or a bit out. But yeah. Yeah, it was good fun. I'm pretty pleased with it. I did want to say, like, I'm really touched by because I got a lot of sex workers writing in and saying like offering their experiences and so on. I want to say like I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful for the trust that people placed in me. I was actually kind of a little bit choked up about that when I put this thing on Twitter, being like, "Oh, probably nobody will write in," but so many people did, and like, it's obviously like it's not a life and death issue to me, but it's obviously like a life and death issue to a lot of people, and I was really pleased with the trust that people placed in me, and like I was quite touched. I even told my dad that. I was like, "Dad, these people really trust me to do a good job," and they're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you've earned it. You've done a good job. Like, well done." I showed the video to my dad. Thanks for that super chat, Draven. He says, "Are there any shows or movies that you watch when you're feeling down to cheer yourself up?" Ooh, not really. Like I do like a bit of anime. Sometimes if I'm really feeling rotten, I'll put in a bit of trash anime, but mostly I just work through it. It was good. I was pleased with it. I did have a couple of notes to self. One of them was that it might have been nice to talk about the UK porn ban. That kind of seems like it fit in, but it sort of that was all happening and hitting the news when I had already sort of like almost finished the writing. So that would have been nice to touch on. Those of you who don't know, if you live internationally, as of I think either June or July in the UK, porn websites will actually have to make sure that you're over 18. So as of I think June or July, you're gonna have to scan your driver's license or your passport in the UK in order to and like upload it in order to have them verify that you're over 18, or buy a porn license from newsagents, or just download Tor, which I imagine everyone will do. But point being, like that seems sort of relevant in terms of like making stuff disappear, and it would have been nice to maybe touch on that a little bit, because that would have been good. That would have been. Sorry, I'm just making sure I tick off these talking points so I don't or delete them so that I don't say the same thing twice. But yeah, not all the response was positive. Usually with videos like this, the first week is very positive because all the people who like are keen and want to watch it. Who want to watch it like tune in and then leave their positive feedback, and then over the coming weeks I expect it'll get nastier, because the people who like weren't expecting it or who don't know who I am will find it and share it, and then there'll be responses to it. But the people who no doubt are already working on angry reply videos will publish their reply videos. So I imagine over the coming weeks things will get nastier. But so far the response seems to be like pretty positive. One or two negative people. But first, thank you, Mia, for that super chat. It says, "What's your favourite meal and your favourite dessert?" I do love Chinese. Chinese is my favourite food, and my favourite dessert is one that my mum makes called Saint-Emilion au chocolat, which is like chocolate and alcohol and amaretti biscuits, basically. And that's it. But yeah, there were a few negative comments. One of my big patrons, sadly, Matthias Irving, dropped out. He was really upset and very angry about the video, and he withdrew his support, which is a shame. But I appreciate their honesty and their standing by their convictions above their Patreon support of me. Obviously, it was unfortunate because I felt that a lot of the problems that they had were like misunderstandings. Like they said there are no instances of a landlord in Sweden getting in trouble for having a tenant who sells sex. I didn't actually say that. I said Oslo, not Sweden. So they were really angry about this thing I never said. And there were a couple of things a bit like that. And then the acting comparison, which we'll get to later as well, they were upset about, which was a shame. But Shannon Bradley, thank you for your super chat, says, "I might have missed the video. In terms of morality and legislation on sex work, what are your thoughts on that?" So that's something that Riley and I talk a little bit more about in the full interview. So the full interview I did with Riley was about an hour long, and it was obviously like very edited down. I will make that video available to patrons probably tomorrow morning UK time, and I may make it publicly available like a little bit further down the line. But yes, patrons will be able to see that full interview as of tomorrow. It's about an hour long, and we talk about all that kind of stuff and just hang out, and like Riley talks about her love of left tube and stuff, which is like really, really, really wild. The whole episode came about because Riley tweeted, "I'm staying up late with my cat watching Philosophy Tube," and I was like, it had like loads of light. I was like, who's this person? I clicked through and I was like, oh, it's Riley Reyes. And somebody replied as a joke. They were like, you should do a video together, wink. And Riley like took that seriously. He was like, I have a degree in film and I'm the chair of the Adult Performers Advocacy Committee. Like, if you ever want to do an episode on sex work and you need an expert, give us a call. And I was like, I've actually been wanting to do one on sex work for ages, but I need an expert. Like, do you want to be my script consultant and be in it and I'll like pay you and stuff? And she was like, yeah, brilliant. So actually it was gonna be Cosmonaut Part 2 was gonna be out this month, and then I was like I'm delaying that. Like I want to jump on this now, and that has now been delayed a little bit further down the line as I kind of sort my schedule out between like managing being in the play and when I'm performing versus having time to film. So the whole thing came about because Riley got in touch on the old twitter.com. So it's not all bad, just almost all of the time. Thank you, Joshua Gill, for that super chat. So actually somebody commented on the what was it, on the interview editing. Oh yeah, this person, let me show you. This person liked it, but thought the editing of the bits with Riley was a bit choppy and like jumping between different cameras. And that's because that's to cover up the jump cuts and the bits where I've edited it. So I'm glad that it gave the impression of all being one smooth thing. But the reason like the camera angles change and stuff during and like cut back and forth between like reactions and so on is because I'm covering up the jump cuts, the bit where I've like edited or like where there's been a big pause of dead air where I've cut and just removed it. So that's why that happened. Cliff Excellent in the chat says, what were the headphones you were wearing? I do have them here. They're made by a company called LSTN, like listen, and they're made of like driftwood and steel, and I think I got them. It was one of the only free things I ever got for being a YouTuber, was they gave me some headphones in exchange for shouting them out on a really, really, really old video years and years ago, and I just kept them. Curtis Hennessy says, have you seen the BBC article on sex work? Nope. I assume the BBC will let me know if they want any quotes from me, but no, I haven't seen it. Another little niggle was that apparently massage therapists prefer to be called massage therapists, not, as I said, masseuse. So apologies to all the massage therapists. Well, apologies to the massage therapists out there. I'm sorry about that. Thank you. I want to say thank you to r/breadtube. r/breadtube have in the past been some of my harshest critics. Like they're very exacting, the people over on r/breadtube. But one thing I will say is that they watch the bloody video and they watch it all the way through. They pay attention, because there were some people in the comments of like when it got posted on breadtube, and it got there were some people who were like had complaints about it, and then there were quite a lot of people who were like, no, he addressed that, he says it, like go back and look here, he says it. And I was like, thanks r/breadtube, like you watch the videos, you don't always like them, but you definitely watch them, so thanks. So cool, wholesome content. Yeah, that was nice. What else do I have? There were a few. Quite a few lawyers got in touch with me. A few lawyers got in touch with me to say that I kind of messed up summary offences. I think in the video I said a summary offence that it's not you don't have to prove it in court, which isn't quite true. A summary offence in the UK only goes to a magistrate's court rather than judge and jury. And I think the report of the arresting officer can count for like a lot more, but it's not quite as sort of Orwellian as I said in the video. I got that wrong, so thank you to all the lawyers who wrote to me and emailed me and said, there's actually a lawyer who I know in real life was like, yeah, that was the one thing I had, and I was like, I didn't know that, because she's not a criminal lawyer, but she was like, not sure that's quite right. So fair enough. People in the chat are asking when they can come and see me perform the play. I will talk about that a little bit later on. Oh, cool! That's just my flatmate messaging me saying that they're not going to come. They're not going to be home tonight. So it's just us tonight, chat. We've got the whole flat to ourselves. Nice. Let me put on some more chill music in that case. Nice. We have the whole place to ourselves. All right. Yeah. So apologies, I got that thing up wrong about the law. What else did I have? My notes stuff. Oh yeah. I did have one big one. Yeah, party in Ollie's flat. There was one big thing I did want to touch on, which is that one of the writers who I cited in the video, Nada the Cat. Thank you for that super chat, Rose Python. Don't worry, we'll get to Cosmonaut Pod 2 when we get to it. Don't worry, you don't need to worry about it now. One of the writers who I cited, Nada the Cat, felt that I misrepresented their article. So I cited an article by them called "The Racism of Decriminalisation." Thank you, Joshua Gill. Do you think that? Let me just sort of copy and paste that into my document. So I'll get to that later. I've got your question. I'll just get to it later because I want to make sure I get this. So Nada the Cat, I cited their article called "The Racism of Decriminalisation," and they felt that I misrepresented it a little bit because the article itself is actually talking about how decriminalisation can be a way of sweeping violence under the rug. For instance, in New Zealand, people talk about decriminalisation, and they don't really have full decriminalisation in New Zealand because it's all the violence is still being done to migrants, which I mentioned in the video, but Nada the Cat felt like I could have done more to really drive that home. So they're in their article. The article says the global sex workers' rights movement heralds decriminalisation at all costs, while often overlooking the racism involved in its partial implementation. The argument is that decriminalisation of sex work will end stigma and benefit all workers equally. However, POC migrant sex workers still experience stigma, raids, and racism within the purported decriminalised sex worker havens of New South Wales, Australia, and New Zealand. So I could have done a little bit more to highlight that, and I think that's a function of another criticism that Nada had of the video, which is that it was very white. Like the bibliography was very white, and we approached it through a very white lens. And I think that's true. I think that's a fair cop. I think overlooking or not really diving into the issues that article brings up is a function of the fact that's a mistake that only a white person could make, because I have the luxury of not having to think about it. So yeah, that's definitely a way in which it could have been better. And I think Nada had really good points and was actually a little bit disappointed by the video, and it could have been more inclusive and it could have been more radical. So I'm grateful to Nada for bringing that up, and for bringing me up on that, and which yeah, so big YouTuber cites your article. I appreciate that it's maybe didn't feel great. It's taking me to task, but I appreciate that they did that, because yeah, that it could have been better. So yeah, thank you to Nada for that, and I thoroughly recommend everybody read that article, which is linked in the description of that video. So yeah, that was another big thing I wanted to hit on. But we got some super chats coming in from a few people that I'm kind of copying and pasting so I don't miss them. We had one earlier on. I'm sorry, the name has now disappeared off my screen, but it was from someone who asked, do you think regardless of potential reforms that sex work will always be more exploitative than even the average form of labour under capitalism? Is it more exploitative than the average form of labour intrinsically? I'm not quite sure what you mean there. So in the full interview that I did with Riley says that she doesn't view it as intrinsically more exploitative than any other form of labour. Insofar as it is, she says that that's kind of an extrinsic thing, and that she talks about her ideal world and sex work post revolution, or revolution, whether you mean substantive violent uprising or substantive break with what has come before. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean there. But we do have a long chat in that interview about which I can't remember off the top of my head, about why people view it as intrinsically exploitative and so on. So and there's another super chat from II or 2, or I don't know how you want me to pronounce it, but it says here's a philosophical question I've thought about. Do you find yourself influencing your world or it influencing you? Please take your time answering it. Unfortunately, taking time to answer super chat questions is not something I have the luxury to do on live streams. The answer is both. I both influence the world and it influences me. And there's a feedback mechanism. And if I was Jordan Peterson, I would string out that chat about feedback mechanisms into 9 pages. But yeah, both. Sometimes the world influences me a little bit more than I'd like it to. I'm just thinking about this morning I saw somebody, some like asshole thing to me on Twitter, and it like made me really angry for hours. And I was like, I wish I wasn't so affected by this. But hey, sometimes things get under your skin and you just gotta let it roll off. Singing Star 8090 says, as a stripper, I loved your video so much. Oh, cool! I'm really glad. I really wanted to make it. I wanted to make it. It's obviously like focused on full service sex work to a degree, but I wanted to make it at least inclusive of other kinds of sex work too, which is why I wanted doing. I wanted to include that bit about what's the people in Sheffield and Manchester who went into the clubs and filmed the dances without consent. I wanted to include that. So. That's nice. Thank you to your super chat, Ari, as well. Thank you. Yeah, Twitter's a bad place. Sometimes good things happen on Twitter, though, as we discovered with this video. Yeah, sometimes good things do come about. Oh, actually, speaking of tweeting, this was really funny. Some people didn't get the joke in the video. I made a joke at the start about people's ideas of what being arrested is like, and I made a joke about like being arrested for tweeting and my wife crying on the doorstep as I'm led away for my tweets. And then like about half an hour later into the video, I made a callback to that joke where I was just like, the guy who cuts my hair is like, how's your wife? And I'm like, she left me after I got arrested for tweeting. And it's just a joke. But a lot of people were like, wait, did you get arrested for tweeting? Like, do you have a wife? Because it was a joke at the expense of people who don't pay attention. And as a consequence, all the people who don't pay attention didn't even realize it was a joke. I was like, damn it. So to clarify, I have never been married and I have never been arrested for tweeting. It's very funny that people think I have been, but I actually have not. Neither of those things have ever happened. Maybe I'll just change up the lighting here a little bit. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Why don't we make that nice? Ooh, I'm feeling a little. The blue is nice. Oh, the blue and pink is nice actually. But maybe we could. No, I think that's good. Let's have blue and pink because the sun's starting to go down. So, but yes, I've never been married, and I've never been arrested for tweeting. I had an interesting. Like I put out a thing on Twitter being like, why? Because I keep getting cast in my acting life. I keep getting cast as like guy who's just been married, or guy who's about to be married, or like guy proposing, like young lover. I get a lot of young lover roles, and I was like, what, do I just seem like the husband type? I asked that on Twitter, and people were like, oh, like you definitely, like people like really strongly felt that I'm kind of the marriage type. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. It's good to know. I guess I'm playing a young lover in this play, so yeah, that was it's interesting. It was weird. Yeah, I've proposed to people so many times on stage that when if I ever eventually propose to anybody, I'll be really good at it. I'll have a lot of practice. Yeah, that was interesting. Thank you, chat, for your support in that difficult time. 10 out of 10 wood husband, says Gawa-chan. Well, thank you very much. Oh, Ponius asked, what's up with the bread and roses at 34-ish? So I'll tell you what, if you just give me half a mo, I'll be able to, whoops, that's wrong. I'll be able to show you, because I suppose if I'm talking about the video, I might as well show you what I mean. So what I can now do through the magic of OBS, I can show you. Boom, magic! Isn't that good? So we are where are we? We're like here, I think. Yeah, so the question was, what's the deal with the bread and roses? Which you can see kind of in this shot, although I appreciate that the red bar at the bottom is kind of covering them up. So I read a quote from, I forget who it's from, but it was from a sex worker, an activist who said, we don't just want bread, we also want roses. There you go, I can see it. We don't just want bread, we also want roses. And I just found that to be quite a powerful image. Yeah, I thought it'd be cool to include some bread and roses. It just seemed like a really, like, we don't just want bread, we also want roses. As in, we don't just want to survive, we want to live. And I was like, oh, that's really good. That's quite powerful. I like that. So I just chucked it in. And it's also a famous song. So yeah, that's why that is. Thank you for these super chats. Ducand says, what subject about sex work were you not certain how to discuss, or could be interpreted as harmful if talked about in the wrong way? I don't know about that, but there was like so a few people criticized me, and I knew they would, for like having Riley on as somebody who's like white and cis and has a lot of like porn girl privilege, as she puts it. And it would have been, obviously if I'd had like an undocumented migrant sex worker on the show, then I run the risk of outing them and getting them in trouble with the law. So I felt that if I'd had more time, I would have liked to touch on like trans women and porn, because there's something in that. Maybe that's even a separate video about like the fetishization of trans women in porn. And originally there was going to be a trans porn star who was going to be in it, but then had to duck out for kind of scheduling reasons. So yeah, maybe that would have been a good connection to make, but then the video would have been really, really long. Michael Disraeli says, I'm always impressed by how you don't do angry react videos to criticism. You bring them up openly and take it seriously. Well, thank you. I'll try to. I have a kind of rule of I don't respond directly to criticism that I don't feel is actionable, or where the response would be just me repeating myself. And I guess we'll get into that a little bit, because I got a few criticisms like that I want to touch on. NJ, thank you for your super chat, says, wait, so you have been arrested? I have never been arrested for tweeting. And Dangler, thank you for your super chat. And Zach Adam, thank you for yours as well. As for my criminal record or otherwise, is mine to know, and no one else's to find out. Not that there's much to find out, or well, anyway. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah, there was a point I wanted to touch on a little bit further down in my document about like criticism and responding to criticism. Oh, I guess maybe we'll get to it. So first of all, let's go to another comment that I wanted to touch on. So this was interesting. Oops, that's wrong. Album of 2008 said that they support sex workers but not the sex industry, and in particular they don't support pornography. And I guess my my curiosity about that is sorry, Michelle, not Michael. Sorry, thank you for that super chat. I guess my question here is, does this person, album of 2008, do they support decriminalization or not? Because like Melissa Grant touches on this a lot in her book, which I cited in the video. People are often keen to show, she says, about how they don't support whatever they think the sex industry is like. But she's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I guess kind of stop virtue signaling in a way. Like, she says, the question is, how much violence do you think against sex workers are you willing to accept? So I guess album of 2008, like, cool. I get that you don't like pornography. That's awesome. Do you like decrim or no? Like, the more YouTube I do, the more I begin to understand the right wing concept of like virtue signaling. Because I originally, when I was first kind of making notes towards this video, I thought about having a character in it, and could have maybe have been like Ian N. Drivel. I could have maybe brought him back, a character in it who was like just like woke guy who's like very like totally against So like real men don't buy women, guys, and it's like he's against sex work, but like it's very tied up in like machismo as well. He's like, yeah, like I stand with women, and like real dudes don't buy women. Like, what are you doing later? You know? I thought it could have been even Drivel, but the video ended up going a different way. But yeah, I understand virtue signaling a little more now than maybe I did. But some people could play with it. But of course, when I do it, it's not virtue signaling. It's just me being authentically awesome, obviously. Like, so yeah, fair enough. That was cool. Some people were a little bit confused about the comparison I made between sex work and acting. So that comparison actually comes from Mack and Smith. Some people were more than confused. Some people were furious that I made that comparison. That comparison comes from Mack and Smith, one of the other big books that I cited in the video. I guess that to compare sex work to acting as they do is not to suggest that they're similar experiences. It's not a point about experience at all. I did have a lot of people writing to me, not a lot, but a handful of I have a lot of people writing to me being like, how can you say this, like, or you're minimizing my trauma, or somebody actually wrote to me with a very, very graphic description of the sexual trauma they'd endured, and were like, this is horrible, and you're making this happen, and actually that was that kind of ties into the point about not responding to criticism that I feel is actionable. I don't feel as actionable. I chose not to respond directly to those sorts of messages because firstly, I didn't want to remind people of their trauma again if they've already emailed me about it, and then I'm replying and all I'm saying is I didn't say that, or I think you've misunderstood, and then they're like dragging it up again. So I didn't. If you sent me one of those angry emails and you're now watching the stream, then the reason I didn't respond is because I wouldn't have anything to add other than what I've already said. The point of the comparison to acting was to problematize the idea of like buying consent, or the argument that you can't consent if money is changing hands, because it's nothing to do with experience. It's just the fact that actors also get paid for unenthusiastic physical intimacy, and nobody thinks that's assault. So it's just kind of a counterexample. And I very, very deliberately preceded that section of the video with a little bit where I explain the difference between sex work is violence and the sex industry features violence. And I deliberately draw attention to the fact that like a lot of people acknowledge that the sex industry features violence and have themselves been traumatized. Like Mack and Smith acknowledge, like, yes, there is violence and exploitation. And I said that explicitly in the video. And it is possible to acknowledge that. It is possible to have those experiences and still support decriminalization. And that's the point I was making. And then after that comes the bit about the acting, where I'm like, people say there's this argument that like you need to argue that sex work is violence rather than sex industry features violence. One of the arguments people use to do that is this thing about like money and consent, and that kind of it looks a little bit weird when we put it alongside acting. So that is why that happened. I have no doubt actually just explained it not as clearly as I did in the video, and I will resist the temptation to explain it again, because something I've discovered, especially on Twitter, is that the more you explain it, the more questions there are. I've seen this happen in like live meetings as well. If you have like a meeting or a briefing, people are like, any questions? The more questions get asked, the more questions you're allowed to be asked, the more questions will be asked. The more stuff you say, the more people will like misunderstand, the more you give them the chance to like get it wrong. So that's what I'm going to say about that. There was one slightly odd comment from Scarlet Brat, who seemed to imply that actors are in fact assaulted when we do romance scenes, which is at least consistent. But yeah, a few people criticized me because they thought I could have brought up the trauma a little more, and I did have people write to me saying that they had very negative experiences in the sex industry, and some people thought that I'd kind of not glamorized it, but like smoothed over those aspects a little bit. And that's I can see how that would be a fair cop if that's been like somebody's predominant experience. It's been negative. I can definitely see how they would feel I'd missed something out. In a lot of this is the bind I was in. In a lot of media about sex work, there's an almost, Grant talks about this, there's an almost pornographic focus on the Dickensian misery and the suffering that can definitely happen. And I was keen to avoid that, to avoid kind of belaboring that, I suppose, or like reveling in it, because there's also a lot of media that gets made about sex workers is kind of made slightly erotic, either because there's this pornographic focus on the humiliation and the suffering, or because like there's like stock images of like women in stockings bending over cars, or like, you know, red lips and stuff, which I was totally keen to avoid, and a few people both on Twitter and YouTube picked up on that. I very deliberately did not make the video erotic or sexy, or like have any sort of exposed flesh, or like have people in stockings or anything. I was like, I do not want to do that. And when I was talking to Riley, I like very deliberately did not ask her like, so like, you know, like, how'd you get into porn, and like, what, like, is it fun? Like, what's the most fun thing you like doing? Like, I very deliberately didn't do that, because there's a presumption, I think, that sex workers are like always on the clock, that any relationship you have with a sex worker is to be an erotic one, which I think I thought would have undermined the point I was trying to make, which is that they are like professionals and workers and philosophers as well. That's why I did that. That's why I did things like that. In the interview with Riley, she does talk a little bit about how she got into porn, but I don't bring it up. Like, she, as you will see if you watch it, she brings it up, and it's like not, we don't sort of stay on it for ages. I'm gonna make this slightly more pink. Nice. Cool. So, in a similar vein, a few people also noticed that I did not talk about demand. I didn't talk about the people who buy sex at all. And some people were like, oh, you kind of missed out. That was very deliberate. I very deliberately did not talk about the demand side, or the Johns or whatever, because I felt that they just weren't the most important people who needed to be heard from in this discussion. Again, like, it's kind of a time thing, but I felt that like people have a lot of negative assumptions about sex workers, and that gets them killed or like discriminated against or like legally shanned. So I was like, this is the people that need to be heard from. These are the philosophers I need to highlight, are the sex workers, because they're out there doing philosophy about themselves and their lives. So it kind of reminded me a little bit of when Natalie ContraPoints made her video, not this most recent one, I think it was the one before, are gay. If you have not seen it, the title of the video contains a slur that I probably shouldn't publicly say as a cis guy, but it's R T slur gay, and it's about the kind of widespread anxiety, I suppose, amongst some straight men that attraction to trans women makes them gay, right? And what that means, and how that impacts the quality of life of trans women. And when she was planning that video, and kind of we were talking about it, there was a plan at the early stage to like maybe include some of the words of straight guys who are attracted to trans women, like make that a little section of the video, and talk about it. And like there was maybe a plan that she would hire a professional actor to read out their words, and it would be me. But there was a plan to like maybe include some of those like stories. And then she made the, I think, correct decision. I think this was the right call to not include those, because she didn't want to like center straight guys in a discussion that was more importantly about the welfare of trans women. And like it's like straight guys didn't need to be heard from there, because like the problem was with them. So I thought that was the right move. And I when I was planning this video on sex work, I was like, shall I include some stuff from Johns and Byers? I was like, no, I won't, because they're not the people that need to be heard from. That's not what we need. It's not the ideas I'm trying to highlight here. So yeah, that's why I didn't focus on the demand side. That's very, very deliberate. So what else? I had a few more comments to get through. Oh, this one was an interesting one. This is kind of interesting technical. I like this sort of technical splitting of hairs. It was from Daniel Holmberg, who said, when you're an actor, you're being paid by someone else to consent to physical intimacy, as opposed to sex work, where you're being paid to provide pleasure to the person who is paying you. Which I thought, okay, I love distinctions. Well, I love some distinctions. It's one of my favourite jokes that never gets a laugh. I love a good distinction. Love a good distinction as much as the next man, right? I think what Daniel's done there is refine the argument slightly, because if we're making that point, then we have already acknowledged that actually it's not the money changing hands that's the problem, it's the power relation. So you slightly refine it there, which is nice. So we've already acknowledged that money can change hands and people can in fact consent, but there's something about the power relation of sex work that Daniel Holmberg says is slightly different. So I was like, okay, cool, but there's some like slightly more we can problematize it even further. So what about a case in which a sex worker is hired by somebody other than the person that they have sex with? What about an actor who's in a scene, an intimate scene, and the person who they're being intimate with is their director, who's also in the show, who is paying them? What about that? Or what about a sex worker who is hired to have sex with someone else in front of an audience? Like, it's not actually clear that you can in fact separate it quite as much as I think Daniel Holmberg's argument relies on us doing. But I did think that was a really good good bit of technical philosophy. I'd have given that high marks if it was in an essay. And then there was this. Which I was shocked by, from Kian Gates, who just said the quiet part out loud. Like, they're Norwegian. He said, as a property owner, sex work scares me. Whatever you think of the housing market, if there's any rumours that there's sex work happening in the flat, then my house decreases in value by like 30%. And it's like, wow, you've said the quiet bit out loud. Like, you've said that your problem is like, your problem with sex work is like nothing to do with sex workers' like rights or welfare or anything of that. It's like, well, it's bad for business, so they need to disappear. And it's like, you've said the quiet bit out loud, haven't you? Like, and you know, Kane Gates says, it's my life savings, my security, and my salary are tied up in this property. And it's like, yeah, that kind of sucks. So you acknowledge that the system has actually forced you to like desire the harm to your fellow creatures. But yeah, you've just kind of you've said the quiet bit out loud, which is that you oppose sex work because it loses you money. Which is like, made me have a think about that. NJ, thank you for your super chat. Thank you. Says, I feel about talking about the Johns and the demand as needed because it removes the demand. I don't know. Talking about the demand for sex work and people who buy it doesn't actually necessarily remove the demand. I'm not quite seeing the connection you've made there. Grant does talk a little bit about the demand, but again, it's like, it's not her chief concern, and it just wasn't mine either. Again, for the same reason that Nat didn't make the concerns of straight guys central to her video. It just wasn't what needed to be heard. Yeah. Oh, and then the last comment I wanted to touch on was this one from... oh no, sorry, there was one more from Historian Gab, who pointed out that my reading of my... when I talk about like Marx and Bolshevism, it was a little simplistic, because Marx had like not just productive work, but also reproductive labor and non-productive labor as well. So there were layers of technical Marxism that I missed in the video that I glossed over. So fair cop when I'm talking about Kollontai and so on. So fair cop. Thank you to Historian Gab for pointing that one out. And then we had this comment from Think People, which was interesting. It was a bit of a wild ride, this one. They said sex shouldn't be commodified because it undermines women's ability to go on sex strike, which kind of reduces women to a sexual role in a way that maybe, I don't know. I think it's an odd way of seeing it. They said that sex work exploits rich guys who can't get laid, basically, you know, people who are economically successful, reproductively unsuccessful. And it's like, I mean, kind of, but like, I think it assumes the reasons that people buy sex is because they can't get sex elsewhere, which I don't think is actually I don't know. Yeah, at the very least, you need to support that with evidence. Yeah, I mean, yeah, NJ, thank you for your super chat again, says, what I mean to say is the depression and the issues that lead men to buying sex workers, or buying sex, I suppose you mean, make it so that they're needed. Yeah, I mean, again, I think you're assuming something about the people who buy sex, which I didn't talk about in the video, but at the very least, I'd need to see some evidence about it. Yeah, Elias Barrett in the chat says, like, this comment seems a little incel-y. Yeah, right? There's something a little like, just notes of incel in there. Just, there's a bouquet of incel on the nose. There's something just a little like sexual market value about it. It's like, I just kind of need to take a shower. But maybe that's just maybe I didn't mean that. I can also, the problem I had with it is that it can be flipped on its head. You know, this person says it's exploiting rich guys who can't get laid. You could flip that on its head and says that actually it's helping rich guys who can't get laid, because if all they want is sex, a big assumption that I think is probably a little dodgy, but if all they want is sex, then it's actually sex work actually prevents them from getting trapped in emotionally manipulative relationships with gold diggers. So you can flip it on its head. I just thought this comment was like interesting, but like kind of weird. There's kind of a weird logic to it. It's kind of like a strange alien beamed down and left it. But I'm grateful to thank people for chiming in anyway, and like, yeah, just because I don't agree doesn't mean it's bad. You just turn up the blue. Oh yeah, that's nice. I like that a lot. Cool. All right, imagine how a woman feels. Oh, that was a great fun. That was a good video. Deathclaw Tamer, thank you for your super chat. Says, love the new video. Might be my favorite. Thought the magician theme was perfect. Use this money to go towards buying yourself a fan, so you don't have to suffer in the heat. I've got a fan. I've got an electric fan here, but it makes a noise, so I've turned it off for the video. So those are all the comments that I wanted to go through. Which is quite a few. Well, yeah, as I say, I was pretty pleased with the video. I think it's my best work, and as opposed to the Jordan Peterson one, which I thought wasn't very good, which I didn't really like. I really like the sex work one. I'm like, cool. Yeah, it was fun, and I'm not gonna say what the next one is about, but like, I'm gonna have some fun with it. It's gonna be pretty out there. Yeah. It's gonna be pretty wild. Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me, Sally, and says you wanted to talk about the play. Yes, this is a blender cup because it fits the most ice in. It's just juice and ice. I needed something cold because it's so warm here. But yeah, I want to talk about the play. So a lot of people have been asking me, like, so if you didn't know, I'm going to be playing Claudio in Much Ado About Nothing in July and August. End of June through to July and August. Yeah, don't worry, I'm going to have time to make videos as well. Don't worry, I've planned it all out. Not only am I going to have time to make videos, I'm also going to take a little holiday in the middle of it. This is going to be nice. Yeah, people have been asking me, when's the play? Can we come and see it? How can we get tickets? I'm going to hold off on announcing that to you for a while, probably until like relatively close towards the end of June, because I run a channel that has almost like 400,000 people watching it. So if I say, here's the dates, it's gonna sell. Like, the ticket's gonna go. And I want to make sure that like my family can come and see it, and that like agents can come and see it, and industry people can come and see it, and like I don't want all of the tickets to just go to you guys. There needs to be some for other people. So I'm gonna announce it like relatively late. I also don't want people to, because I did a meetup a while ago, and somebody like got the train from Brussels to come to the meetup with me and Harry in London, and I was like, that's a lot. I don't want anyone to like break the bank coming from like New Zealand to see the play or anything, because it's never gonna be that good. It's fucking Much Ado About Nothing, right? Watch the Kenneth Branagh version. Yeah, I will announce the dates on Twitter and like link to where you can get tickets, but I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna keep it in my back pocket for a few weeks, because I want to make sure that my friends and family and people can come and see it. yeah, because I also imagine that some venues will be more popular than others because it's a tour. Like some venues are more like accessible than others. Some of them are like a little bit rural and out of the way. So, yeah. Also, I imagine you'll probably realize this, a few of you in the chat, because you're the keen beans. When I do announce the dates, I may not announce all of them. And if you like click through to where tickets are, you may be like, oh, there's a few shows here he hasn't mentioned. Yeah, there's a couple of shows where like people, how to put this, people might come and see me, and then there's no backstage area, so I'm gonna hang out with those people after the show, and it like protects their and my privacy, if you get what I'm saying. So I may not announce all of the dates, and if the ones I don't announce are the only ones you can come to, then don't tell anyone about what you see. But yeah. Anyway, that's the play. That's the play. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're rehearsing hard. I think it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be properly class. I'm revved for it. It's fun. It's gonna be good shit. Okay, so we've got some. So Jake Bretherton in the chat says, I was just in Much Ado About Nothing. I played Don John. You were right about him not having a satisfying ending. Yeah, he doesn't, but I guess that's because Don John, the actor playing Don John, goes and plays Vergis, doesn't he? So you get Vergis and Dogberry as Don Pedro and Don John. So I guess that's why. Thank you, Super Chat. Thank you, NJ, for your Super Chat. And thank you to Patrick, EBFG. Says, do you watch Sarah Z? And have you seen her recent video on theatre bootleg recordings? I have not. Sounds interesting. But yeah. Yeah. So yeah, don't come and see the show if you want to be creepy. don't any creepy people come and see the show. Yeah. And Sari, thank you for your super chat. Says, thank you so much for the work you do. I appreciate the mix of art and education. It helps me feel less hopeless about the world. I'm glad. I've realised that I can do that with my content, and it's interesting that I can do that. It's fun. Yes, I've seen the Kenneth Branagh Much Ado About Nothing. Of course I've seen it. Like, come on, it's me. Of course, I've seen everything. I've seen everything Kenneth Branagh's done. He's great. So I've got a couple of Patreon questions that I wanna get to, and a few letters to open. But first, I'm gonna fill up my water glass. So I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Okie. I don't want to put shoes on. It's too warm. Also, who has shoes inside? Okay. Yeah. What do I have? A few letters and a few Patreon questions to get to. So let's do letters first. This one says on the outside, note to Ollie, please feel free to read this out on stream. I'll cover up your address. No, the play is not coming to the Edinburgh Fringe. Sorry. It actually finishes in early August, so we tour throughout July in sort of southern England. Yeah. Yeah, let's open this. I have no idea what's in any of these. If they're weird, horny, or sad, I apologise. Oh, that's a nice bit of Cosmonaut fan art. That's nice. Dear Ollie, Just make sure there's nothing here. Dear Ollie, thank you for all your wonderful work. I've noticed the transformation of your channel over the years, and it's been amazing to see. Cosmonaut Part 2 is going to explain why that happened. I'm currently studying a music degree in the northeast of the UK. Nice! Nice. God, I miss the north. And I'm hoping to go into medicine in the future. Ooh, your video on ethics and healthcare was great. Society is so crucial to what we do, and science and art are no exception. Your videos have been really informative and accessible, and it was great to have you as a guest on Harry's Donkey Kong Marathon stream. They've also been really great as study breaks. Hope to see you in London someday. Keep on flying. Expectantly awaiting Cosmonaut Part 2 from Ehias? E-H-I-A-S? Or Ahas? And that an accent over it? Not clear. Happy birthday. Sorry for your cursive. You can blame French education for that one. Oh, well, you have quite good writing. It's like clearer than most of the letters I get. But thank you to the person who wrote that. Yeah, Cosmonaut Part 2. It's written, basically. It's now just about, like, finding... Because, as for reasons you will see, it kind of requires a bit of work. So it's about finding the time to do that. Like, when's it going to fit in terms of having the play and other videos and going on holiday. And then I'm going to have a holiday, like, basically just before the tour starts, and then I'm going away. Hopefully going away just after it ends. So, yeah, it's about, like, finding when to film it. Oh, Elias, that was you. Thank you very much. The writer of the letters in the chat now, So yeah. Cosmonaut Part 2, it's coming. It'll happen. But it's about finding, like, just logistically when to do it. But it is written. Here's another letter. Ooh, nice envelope. I like that kind of shiny. It's quite cool. And oh, I like these too. Hi Ollie, thought it would be nice for you to get some mail that is a little less heavy. I first watched your videos when you started out as I was doing A-level philosophy at the time. I wanted to do it at uni, but several years of depression and not doing much meant it wasn't meant to be. I rediscovered you a few years back, and it's been very nice to re-engage with the subject. This week I donated all the philosophy books I had bought with the hope I would one day be able to read long and complex text. It's been 7 years and I can't, but I'm happy with other things good in my life. Thanks for the free education and for captioning your videos. Much love, E. Well, my pleasure. I'm really glad. I'm really glad they can help. I need to do a stream where I give away some of my books as well, because I've got too many. I need to get rid of them. Hermanum, thank you for your super chat, says, does the hype around Cosmonaut Part 2 ever get weird? Not judging, because I do this too. Sometimes it seems like people are excited to see you be sad and vulnerable. How do you deal with that? I mean, it's slightly irritating. Sometimes people are like, is the next video Cosmonaut Part 2? And I'm like, no, like, it'll come when it comes. It's not going to be what anyone expects. You're not going to expect it. Like, it's going to take people by surprise. But yeah, I mean, like, as with Cosmonaut Part 1, you're not going to see it coming. And then it'll be there, and you'll be like, oh, shit. So that'll be fun. It's funnier than Part 1. It's funny. Like, it's a funny video. Like, it's got jokes in it. It was originally going to be, like, very, like, blah, blah, blah. And then I actually watched Nat's video, The Darkness, and was like, I can make this funny. There's definitely funny bits of this. So I rewrote it and made it funny. And it works. It's really good. It works. It's really good. I'm really pleased with it. So the script is fun. It is fun. It's funny. It's obviously got, like, sad bits and bits that are like, oh, fuck. And bits that are, like, about theatre and stuff. But yeah, subverting expectations, as people are saying in the chat. It's, well, you know what we think. George Fairweather says, hey Ollie, given the UK porn ban, do you think you'll ever cover prohibition in general? Probably not. It's a little vague. But yes. Yeah, you won't be expecting it. You'll go and see, like, Detective Pikachu 2, and then, like, halfway through it'll just cut to me being like, let's talk about suicide. And then you'll be like, oh shit! Like, that was Cosmonaut Part 2 the whole time! You never saw it coming. It's actually, like, something totally, it's hidden inside something totally. It's Frog Fractions, Frog Fractals. Frog Fractions 2 is actually, I'm releasing it as a video game. I'm releasing it as an app, as a thought, as a series of disconnected yells in a park in London. Where am I going with this? Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be. It's gonna be. Well, I was about to say it's gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun. It's gonna be horrible, but it's gonna be interesting. Again, it's gonna be a video that like no one, just like Cosmonaut Part 1. It's like no one's ever made a video like this or really about this before. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, not fun, but anyway. Let's take a question from a patron. So if you didn't know, some of my patrons, if they pledge at a certain tier, get to ask me a question, which I'll like guaranteed to get to on the live stream. So Duck asked me, what topic that you might like to cover do you feel you're not equipped to tackle yet, and why? So I think I had an idea a while ago to do a video on anti-Semitism. And I made some notes towards it, but it just didn't happen. So maybe I've got an idea I'd like to do that. I know it would fit, and I think I'd do it well. But the reason it didn't happen is because the main text I got for it, David Nirenberg's Anti-Semitism, the Western Tradition, Anti-Judaism, the Western Tradition, something like that, is I got it as like an audiobook. And I mainly listen to like podcasts and audiobooks in the gym, so it was like a very dense academic text, and it did not pair well with gym. So I listen to like Ballin' Out Super when I'm in the gym, and like comedy podcasts and podcasts that I don't have to pay like 100% attention to, because David Nirenberg was like making all these really good academic historical points, and like I can't stop and take notes, and I was like, wait, what? I missed it. What was that about, like Egyptians and like stuff? I was like, shit. So it just didn't go well. And I don't have time to like sit down in my house and listen to like audiobooks, because I can read a lot faster than I can listen. So I need to get Nirenberg. People in the chat misheard me. So maybe anti-Semitism, maybe someday. I'm not ruling it out. Flirp says release Cosmonaut Part 3 just to make me ask for Part 2 is. God, I hope there won't be a Part 3. Fucking hope not. Part 3 is the rest. Well, actually, I see the mental. I see the video. Why do I hate MySpace itself? I see that as Cosmonaut Part 1, and then like Cosmonaut video is like the middle one, where like the second act where things get dark, and then the third in the mental health trilogy will be Cosmonaut Part 2, but it won't be called that. I know what the title's going to be. I don't know what the thumbnail and stuff around it'll be. Whether I want to like signal that it's a Cosmonaut video up front, or whether I just want the reveal. I think I want the reveal. You'll know from the content warnings, but still. Spider-Man dies in Cosmonaut Part 2. Draven is asking about my plans to use Twitch. They are currently secret. Sorry, can't tell you. Thanks for the super chat. I'm going to eat some chocolate. I had another patron question from Rachel Elizabeth, who says, have you ever done any linguistic work or anything on the philosophy of language? God damn it. Chocolate. If so, what did you find the most interesting? Yeah, I've done some videos on names and naming. And I did one a while ago on 1984 and language, years like Philosophy Tube season 1, like still the kind of bedroom days. I did a video on 1984 on language. I find Kripke's theory of naming to be quite interesting, but I just haven't found a way to make it into an interesting video, I guess. But Valos, thank you for your super chat, says, do you have a favourite modern playwright that you think not enough people have read or performed? Well, let's see who I've got on my shelf. Who do we have? Antigone. I did not have that. This this count as modern? Yeah, it would count as modern. W.H. Jordan and Christopher Isherwood, The Dog Beneath the Skin. That's good. Oh, that's not very good. Oh! Young Marks. It's solid. History Boys is good. It's kind of a classic now, History Boys, isn't it? Carol Churchill, Cloud 9. It's a drama school staple. Yeah, it still counts as modern. Max Frisch, Andorra. Same guy who wrote The Arsonists. That's good. Andorra, like the country, but it's not. This one was written by a friend of mine, Ed Harris, not the bald actor, but the playwright. Ed Harris, The Cow Play. It's about a woman gradually turning into a cow as a metaphor for depression. That's good. Sarah Kane, Crave, again, drama school staple. And that's poetry. That goes in the bin. Getting rid of that. Yeah, you've got something to go off there. Yeah. And thank you to Violent Corgi for your super chat as well. Glad glad the videos could help you feel relaxed. Sorry, I'm still a little sick. Chocolate time. The book I threw out was a book I don't want anymore. K.E. Bartlett asks, can you revisit furries as a topic? Maybe. I mean, same response to all of the whenever people ask me, can you do a video about this? My answer is always maybe. B. Casey, do you have any thoughts on Juche ideology? Don't know what it is. Shilo24601 says, what type of wine should I get from the store? Red. It's good stuff. It wasn't 12 Rules for Life. I've still got that. Somewhere. Where? I've still got that here. I'm going to give away a lot of my old books soon. To you if you want them. But that goes in the bin. I don't want it. I don't want to see it. Okay, so what else do we have? We had some mail. Woo. Can I do a ritual burning of 12 Rules for Life? No, I'm going to give it away. Well, somebody can pay me a $5 and they can have it. And I get to see all the notes I wrote in the margins. Will you sign them? Maybe. Maybe. Probably. Aiden Danguila says, Ollie, please come to my house and smack me in the face with a book. Weird now. That's what Nat was saying in her new video. It's like, stand on my throat, mommy. Weird. Okay. Malice1 says, will all your videos from now on be over 30 minutes long? I don't know. Maybe. See how long they come out. I'm not sure how long Cosmonaut Part 2 will be. I don't know. But anyway, got a postcard. It's addressed to me and H-Bomber guy. I just wanted to say thank you for both your videos since I started watching you in 2015. Your videos have been helpful in many ways. They helped me complete my PhD. They made my PhD more tolerable, comforted me in my depressive episodes, and confirmed that there are other people who have similar something understandings of something out there. I'm 27, cishet, white, male, with a trans-identical twin, so I also must thank you for your advocacy for trans rights. With love, Frank. I think that says Frank. Well, thank you, Frank. That's really cool. That's cool to have a trans-identical twin. Wow, weird. Well, not weird, like statistically unlikely, I suppose. Interesting. Curious. Cool. I've got a couple more. Yeah. This is from Susan Lee in Virginia. Crumping Ancom says, Ollie, I got my girlfriend to watch your videos and she likes them, so thanks for solidifying our relationship. Nice. Bringing people together. Nice, I like it. Cool. I'm eating chocolate. People are wondering in the chat. My brother gave me some for my birthday. So. Some nice drawings of flowers here. That's nice, isn't it? Nice. It's quite long, so I may not read all of it out. This person specifically wants to say thank you to the chat. They were in it during a particularly sad time, and says thank you for cultivating such a loving, empathetic audience. You probably didn't notice it, but it really helped me feel okay about what I was going through. Cool. I said in the chat I'd send you a dozen red roses. A dozen red roses, please? I have a thing for roses, but I don't think they do well in a PO box. True. I guess that explains the drawings. Your videos have meant a lot to me. I think I'd be a slightly different person without them. Maybe less empathetic, certainly less philosophically minded. Me too. I'm studying engineering. There's a disdain for the arts. I'd like to work with engineers without borders. Cool. Went through a lot of stuff, so I joined the Navy. Got married! Wow, congratulations! Oh dear. Preemptive congratulations. Be well, Ollie. Take care and don't let the bastards get you down. From Susan Lee. Thanks, Susan. Thank you. Sorry I've had a shit time. I don't mean to turn around for you. I wish you the best of luck, you know. Sorry. I will say though, that the roses are lovely. So thank you. Okay. We've got 2 more letters. Let's have a look. Excuse me. People sometimes write their addresses on the back, and I'm just careful about showing them because I don't want to be able to, don't want to show people's addresses, you know, on the channel. Ooh. Oh, I thought something fell out, but it didn't. Whoa, this handwriting is. I mean, that. I'm sorry. This is absolutely illegible. I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I cannot read this except that I think it was sent by somebody called Carl, and that's about as much as I can. My name is. I mean, that could be anything. I'm a student of English and classics in Texas. Okay, I'm starting to get it. Starting to decode it. Studying abroad in the UK. I mean, that could be. I started watching your videos. Something. Okay, I think I can do it, but like, I think it's just gonna take me a while. So I tell you what, Carl. I'll try and read that after the stream, because it's like, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know what this says. You've got, I mean, the handwriting is lovely, it really like calligraphy, but like I'm sorry, I can't read it. I'm sorry, Carl. I'm so sorry. Sorry. I'll give it a go after stream. I think I can do it, but it'll just take a little bit of time. In the interest of keeping the stream going on. Let's open the last one. Yeah. From Leo in Columbus, Ohio. I'm sure it's not that, Carl. They said they were from Texas. Also, I guess the lighting in here is not great for reading spidery writing. This person's typed it. Nice, nicely done. Thanks, Leo. Dear Ollie, this letter's a lot more formal than I thought the letter I write you would be. My name is Leo. This is for an English project. Cool, alright. We're all going to help Leo out with this project. We're reading Tuesdays with Maury, and I'm supposed to write a letter to a mentor. I never really had one. I thought you've been close enough to be a mentor to me in the past year to work. Well, your videos really shape the way I look at the world. I've always had left-leaning views, but I never really knew the words to describe them, never knew how to explain them. I found so many other creators through you too, and I finally feel like I have the words to express my feelings now. Back in October, I was in a bad place. I don't want to get too deep into it, so you can still read this on stream if you want, but your Cosmonaut video found me exactly when I needed it. You say... Oh, Leo. You saved my life, and I can never thank you enough for that. You did that yourself, mate. You did that yourself. That wasn't me. You had that. You pulled through that. I'm happy to help, but... I'm in my senior year of high school now. It's been a hard year. So much homework. Ugh. But I lived to see the end of it. Right now, I'm happier than I've felt in months. I'll be out of school soon. I have friends. I have hope for the future. The chance to make a change in the world. I owe that to you. Thank you. Man, you did it yourself, man. You got through that. Not me. I look forward to your future work and the things I'll learn from you. Sincerely, Leo Spears. Thank you, Leo. Thank you. The feels. And I'm out of chocolate now as well. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Following up the Cosmonaut video with Cosmonaut Part 2, which gets more specific. The first one was quite vague, and therefore I think a lot of people who just have depressive feelings or suicidal feelings for whatever reason can relate to it, whereas Part 2 is more specific. So it'll be interesting. I nearly ate that, but it's not chocolate, it's a burned up matchstick. I was about to be like, oh, no. Just a bit of charred wood. Okie dokie. So it is 10 to 10. So why don't we hang out for another 10 minutes and answer any questions that anybody's got or anything. I don't have any more notes to self or questions on mail, so we can take it easy for 10 minutes. I hope everyone's had a good day. I had a bit of a frustrating day, but I like to stream when I've had a bad day because it often relaxes me. Nothing serious went wrong. It's just like a lot of like little admin things I've been trying to sort out. Like got messed up. So I was like, oh, I was really angry, and then I like just went to the gym and just. That's what I do when I'm pissed. It's like I don't. You've never seen me be angry on the show. I never do it. I never use that bit of my personality, but I do sometimes get angry. As everyone does. So I just went to the gym and kicked my own ass for 2 hours and felt better about it. It's like, yeah, toxic masculinity. It's better than getting angry at someone else. So, give me a recipe for banana curry, says Tramper27. I mean, it's just like. So you put bung a bit of cauliflower in the oven, and kind of roast a bit of cauliflower to soften it up. Fry a little bit of onions. Don't use garlic. I don't use garlic in banana curry because it just kind of clashes. Fry a little bit of onions, some curry paste. You can make your own curry paste or use from wherever your kind of budget or culinary level of skill is. Get some curry paste in there. Something with a little bit of turmeric. Anything like. That would go well in a korma. Like aim for korma and then just like deliberately miss and hit bananas. But you want to add the bananas fairly late in the game. You can. I don't usually add tomatoes to the banana curry, although you could make a more of a madras banana curry with a bit of tomato then. When the cauliflower is nice and roasted, whack that in. Curry paste, curry powder, whatever else you want. Spices to whatever level you like. I usually like putting a little bit of green chili in. That's good. And then you whack the bananas in fairly late. You can sometimes put in a little bit of vegetable stock. You don't want to put too much. You don't want to be too watery. But if it's looking dry, you can add a bit of veggie stock. Add the bananas last minute. A little bit of creme fraiche or vegan creme fraiche if you want it to be vegan. And then a few chopped almonds to go over the top. You generally want to stay away from garlic or too much coriander. You can have a little bit of coriander as a herb to serve, but you don't want to make it too garlicky or coriandery because it doesn't go well. You aim for something like creamy and mild, and then you can make it as spicy as you want, and then just put bananas in. It's great. It works really well. Ducon says, don't underplay how instrumental you were for people. You saved lives with the Cosmonaut video, including mine. It's okay to feel some pride in it. Well, I'm glad that it helps. Oh my god, Jacob, what is that? Darkvist says, when are you and ContraPoint starting a lifestyle show with you doing the cooking and her doing beauty? Damn, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? That'd be great fun. As when we pivot to making videos about nothing, when we pivot to content, and we'll make it. That'd be great. Again, whenever I talk about cooking, people are always like, do a cooking episode. I'm like, I did it. I did a cooking live stream ages ago when I made octopus. And Joie de Vita, thank you for your super chat, is just saying thanks. Well, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I did a cooking stream. I did a cooking stream years ago. It's a couple of years ago. So yeah, that'll be good fun. Making videos about nothing. The Seinfeld of YouTube, nice. Michelle Disraeli says, I challenge you to make watermelon curry. I'd worry it would end up watery, but it could be done, I suppose. I bet that works quite nicely. Lumi says, stay away from garlic in a curry. That sounds stranger than bananas to me. No, I mean, I put a bit of garlic in my curry generally. Just with banana curry, it tends to be a bit weird. So I back off the garlic. Normally in a curry, yeah, I'd chuck a good bit of garlic in there. But yeah. Oh, does the cooking stream taken down? Was it? That's a shame. But fair enough, I suppose. Get Harry on as well. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be nice. The triple stream. That'd be good. We've never done that. We've never hung out, all three of us, yet. All three of us in the same meet space at the same time. Obviously, like, me and Harry and Nat all know each other, but we've never actually been in the same place at the same time. I think the last time Harry and Nat hung out was Lindsay's wedding, which I didn't know Lindsay then, so but yeah. We have yet to all three of us hang out. What do you serve the curry with? Rice or dal or potatoes? Whatever you like. Whatever you like. Yeah, that'd be good. Oh, Dan Collins says, did the new sex work video get demonetized? I actually haven't monetized it yet because Skillshare sponsored it and they have a 15-day exclusivity window. So I will try and turn on the ads when that 15 days expires in a week and a bit. If that, we'll see whether it works. Who knows? Yeah. Oh yes, this channel is under reservation. It says make Harry some more lamb. Yeah, I think last time Harry stayed in my flat, I made us a lamb stew. Oh, that'd be really good. If we all fuse our channels into creating one super channel that just makes videos about nothing, that just makes content, then Siley in the chat says I'll do the cooking, Nat do the beauty tutorial, and then Harry we'll play Mario Kart with Harry. That'd be really good. That'd be so much fun if we just made like a 30-minute video about nothing. That's like as if we all lived in a flat. This is like 10 minutes of Nat doing a beauty tutorial, and then it's like me in the kitchen doing 10 minutes, and then it's like Harry talking about games, and then like there's no point to it. It would be great. It would be a lot of work for a pointless video. But RJ McKee says I showed your race video at work for the Centre for Hunger Free Communities. It was well received. Thanks for your work. Oh, cool. I'm really glad. No, that's really awesome. Yeah, with the sex work video. The sex work video was a little lacking in terms of like race, and like I could have said more about like race and sex work. I think I'm trying to fix that with the next one. There's like a section that I've written in the draft script at the moment that like explicitly tries to go the other way. Toea says, why didn't you try to get a sex toy company as a sponsor? It wasn't really up to me. I had somebody else organising the sponsorships, and it was about who would do it. So yeah. But yeah, that would be fun. It's just a channel about nothing. That would be good fun. Yeah. As I say, we haven't all three of us hung out yet. That would be good fun. Be a great live stream. Anyway, let's stop talking about our private lives and put on the music that we like to end the stream with. So we're down to the last 5 minutes here. Nice. Miles one says, Ollie, do you own a motorcycle? No, but I've wanted one ever since I was a kid, but it takes a lot of effort to learn to ride one, and I'm not a very good driver, so thought I'd give it a miss. Maria Gallagher says, what about Sean? Harry's hung out with Sean. I've hung out with Sean. I had lunch with Sean a while ago. He's cool. He's a legend. He's a really, really cool, very chill guy. There was something really funny happened as soon as Sean and I met up. It's like literally within 5 minutes of us meeting up, somebody came up to him and was like, are you Philosophy Tube? I was like, yeah, like, have you ever heard of Sean? And they were like, no. I was like, I feel like shit. George Turner says, were you all in the Donkey Kong stream together? Yeah, I meant we haven't, the three of us, hung out in real life ever. Yet. Yeah. K.E. Clark says, were you raised with religion? Not kind of, a little bit. Yeah, a little, but not in a very serious way. Not like within the family, but I went to a school that was kind of like Jesus' default wallpaper, so a little bit. I believed for a while as a kid, and then let it go, really. Nazbol Official says, will you make any more content centered on explaining the works of particular philosophers? I do. The last video I did was specifically about like Grant and all sorts. The next one is centered around a particular philosopher. It's just, yeah, I mean, I still do that. The Brexit one the Jordan Peterson one was explaining the work of Jordan Peterson. So yes, but probably never in the form you expect, because that's what I like to do with my videos, is make the video that you never expect. I hope I'll continue doing that, because it's the most fun. It's the most fun thing to make, is the thing that no one sees coming. And then no one's done before. Da 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 says, will you ever do a video about nationalism? Hasn't Mia Mulder already made that? I swear she's already made the live stream video about nationalism. Yeah, I haven't seen it all the way through, I don't think, but I swear she has made it. Need to catch up on my Mia Mulder actually. That'd be good. Oh, I'll do that before bed. That'd be good. I don't know 3 hours in real life. No. We've not met. But yeah, a few weeks ago I had lunch with Harry and Tom Scar. That was fun. We went to Nando's. Cheeky Nando's. Alright, we're into the last 2.5 minutes. Do I listen to any music with strong philosophical themes? Not really, no. I kind of listen to trash. Most of the music I listen to is like either on the tube or in the gym, where it's just like nonsense pop or angry gym music. I have got tickets to see Kim Petras live in London in August, which I'm very excited about. That's gonna be fun. I hope I can make it. I may end up being away, but it would be cool. That'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah. Did I watch Eurovision? No, I did not. I did not watch it. I don't remember what I was doing that night, but something more interesting. Momster says, are you watching any anime lately? Yeah, just catching up with, just keeping on with Ballin' Out Super, with the Dragon Ball Super, yeah. Yeah, I keep calling it Ballin' Out Super. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, other than that, not really. We stan Kim Petras, yes we do. We do indeed stan Kim Petras. I'm looking forward to that gig. That should be a good gig. It's a nice, like, small venue. I know somebody who's like big into Kim Petras, like who's like really big fan, and I told them that I was going to see her, and they were like, "Oh my god, I'm so jealous." I could have paid an extra $100 to have a meet and greet and a photo with Kim, and then I was like, "Nah, do that. I'll just say hey." But yeah, that'll be fun. Alright, I think I'm probably going to have a cup of tea and an early night. I tried to have an early night last night and was unsuccessful. So maybe I'll have a bit of a restful early night tonight. That might be nice. Alright, well, I will say au revoir. Thank you to all the people who've super chatted tonight, and to all the people who sent letters, and to all the people who left cool comments for the Sex Week video. I will release the interview with Riley for patrons tomorrow morning. So, yeah. Thanks very much for watching, and have a great night, everybody. Bye.